Welcome back into Wake Up America. So former President Donald Trump set to surrender to authorities tomorrow in Atlanta. This coming after two of Trump's co-defendants, Scott Hall and John Eastman, turned themselves in yesterday. They had their mugshots taken yesterday down in Atlanta.
And joining us now is President Trump's impeachment lawyer, David Schoen. David, good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Thank you.
Great to have you back on. A whole lot going on today and tomorrow. So this from the Wall Street Journal. And I wanted to ask you this because the last Trump impeachment, the second Trump impeachment, where you represented the former president, that was televised. The Wall Street Journal says that televising the Trump trials would be a circus, but also a service. In cases of such importance for the nation, transparency has to take priority. Now, I get that the federal cases can't be on TV. A judge could waive that. Should these be televised?
It's a great question. Listen, if the judge really intends to go forward with this multi-defendant case, and which would be in and of itself a complete circus, then I think it really will border on ridiculous. You're going to see lawyer after lawyer with ego after ego trying to play to the cameras. On the other hand, I do think it's very important. This is a matter of great public interest. We need transparency in this case all the way through, and we haven't seen it from the government.
David, take us through what will happen tomorrow. So President Trump's going to go to Atlanta. He will be arraigned, a possible mugshot to be released. What's next? What's after that?
Well, first of all, I happen to think that process is absolutely absurd in this case. They keep on repeating, we're just going to treat him like any other defendant. That's silly. He's not any other defendant. He was the president of the United States. This is unprecedented. Yeah. There's no reason to haul him in and take the mugshot. Is there a question who he is? No reason to fingerprint him and all that. That's just for show. That's for political purposes and so on. But, maybe he'll work that to his advantage because he soars in the polls. I think when people see him being mugshotted and, jerked around by these local folks, I think that's going to simply send him up in the polls. But anyway, after that, what I'm hoping happens is that his lawyers kind of wake up and file a motion to remove the case to federal court. I don't know why that hasn't happened. Mark Meadows has done it. Jeffrey Clark is doing it. It's very important, and it applies to President Trump, in my view at least, the most of any defendant. And the 11th Circuit, where this case would go to federal court in Atlanta, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals sits over that. They have a rather broad standard for under this section 28 U.S.C. 1442A, the removal statute. I'd like to see them litigate that.
Yeah, and it just seems to me, again, you're the attorney, but this happened when Donald Trump was president of the United States, which includes the state of Georgia, which to me would equal federal, not state. Just a question about bail, $200,000. Now, Trump can afford it, but under under Democratic DAs and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the White House, we've had cashless bail all over every serious cases, violent crimes. Why is Donald Trump any different when it comes to bail?
Politics. The standard under Georgia law is basically a four-prong test. Does he pose a flight risk, a danger to the community? He has to agree not to commit a felony, and he can't intimidate witnesses. There's no reason for this to be secured by $200,000 other than just to sort of, try to mock him. It's absurd. They need a Superior Court judge to sign off on the bail, but it should have been without this kind of financial requirement.
Yeah, Chris Christie joined Eric Bolling last night on Newsmax to discuss the cases against Trump and what he would have done. Take a listen.
I would have prosecuted the documents case, absolutely, both because of the documents, but more importantly, because of the obstruction. I would not have prosecuted the case in New York, and I said that at the time. I would have prosecuted the January 6th matter, but I would not have prosecuted the Atlanta matter against Donald Trump. I think it was unnecessary to do so.
David, what's your reaction to that?
Well, I know that Chris Christie is a big fan of Donald Trump, so I certainly factor that into my analysis. I think he's dead wrong. I don't think any fair prosecutor should have prosecuted criminally any of these cases. They have weaponized the Department of Justice and now the state prosecutors for political partisan reasons. I can tell you exactly why I wouldn't have prosecuted the other cases that he said he would have prosecuted. And just a thumbnail sketch, in D.C., they must prove specific intent to do something the law forbid. Donald Trump believed inside and out and believes today that he was the victim of election fraud. As to the dealings with Vice President Pence, one of the leading election law experts in the country, who's not a Trump fan, has said nobody understands what the vice president's role is in that circumstance. There are many other things.
Quick question for you, David. You represented the president in his second impeachment. Is he difficult to represent as an attorney?
Not for me. He was terrific. It was an honor to represent him. I have an absolutely fabulous rapport with him. He never bucked me on any decision that I made. And I read reports before that the South Carolina team was out because they wouldn't raise election fraud. Not true.
Can I
Simply not true.
rephrase, David? Can I rephrase? Do you think it would be more difficult now because he is a candidate running for president? So he's out there on the stump talking every day.
Okay. So again, a great question. Yes, he's going to be out there. That does make things difficult. You're going to see these judges like Judge Chutkan and I think in Georgia, wherever, try to rein him in and impose themselves on him. But I think it's a very important First Amendment right to speak. And I think especially in this case where the government has come in with these long speaking indictments, he must have a chance to respond publicly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
David Schoen, we appreciate you breaking that down for us. Good to see you again. We'll have you back soon. Thank you.